I'm here today.
I'm here today.
I'm here today.
I'm here today.
I'm here today. Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
At DPS, attendance is important. That's why we're challenging all schools to increase and improve their daily attendance. So I ask again, we're here today. Are you?
Are you?
Hello, my name is Marley, and this school is called Rufus H. Montessori School, and the show that you are watching is called Ask a Kindergarten. Ask the Kindergartner. Okay, so what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Miriam. What's your name? Dalton. Dalton? Yes. So, what's your favorite animal, Ashad? Lion. What's your favorite animal, Miriam? I like elephants. What's your favorite animal? A lion. What's your favorite cartoon, Ashad? Cartoon? Yes. All right, let's move on. What's your favorite cartoon? Super Kitties. Hey, why Super Kitties. Super Kitties. Why you? Ooh, I like that's that. Rude. What's your favorite? Spider-Man. Oh, wait. What's your favorite comic book, boy? What's your favorite comic book? Spider-Man. What's your favorite comic book? Not a show. Okay. A comic book? No, I don't got one. All right, what's your favorite comic book? I don't have one. What's your favorite comic book? I have. And that's perfectly fine, Miriam. I have. That's perfectly fine. I have a dinosaur one. Dinosaur? That's not a comic book. I don't like dinosaurs. Raise your hand. I don't have one. What's your favorite book if you don't have a comic book? A comic book? No, it's a book like those, not a comic book. No book. Okay. A Spider-Man one. What's your favorite book? Are you scared? No, you're scared. Is that the one that's right there? No, that's that one right there with the bunny and the bear. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Okay, let's go outside, everybody. So let's move on. What's your favorite book? Dinosaur. Why does it always have to be dinosaurs? Because I like dinosaurs. What's your favorite food? No, no, I'm first. No, you're not. I get to choose who's first. I know you ain't supposed to talk back to me, lady. Oh. I will call you old man if you don't stop calling me old man. Did you just call me old man? So, okay, let's move on. What's your favorite movie? Spider-Man. What's your favorite movie? Dinosaurs. Why do I always got the dinosaurs? Movie. Wait, there's nothing. Because I like dinosaurs. That's a cartoon. Because I like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are not a movie. Yes, they is. No, it isn't. Let's move on. Okay, I'm going downstairs. Thanks for watching As a Kindergartner. Make sure you subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey. Who was? get one of these?
Who,
Oh,
what?
so this is,
Did you just say somebody was mansplaining? Okay, that's what I thought you said. That's yours. 'Cause I have one.
MySpace.
oh,
Tell me who it was.
Well, I was bumming.
we have, I have two.
Nobody really listens to me.
I'll leave.
I'm always listening.
Yes.
So I'm
Sorry.
They're
moving downtown.
Yes.
So you mean the now puts it in a green lights district.
Chris Son.
It is.
I looked that up today and I was like, oh, this will be interesting. Same.
I could get them yesterday. I can't get them today.
I just want to say, OEC is so far the only department where their non-payroll has decreased. I agree. And it's, I mean, 734,000. That's a decrease.
Oh, good.
It's on the hump, you know, down here. It came down.
I feel so hard yesterday, I can't walk.
So just
You would appreciate that. I was doing Kristen's once. It would be nice to be able to walk. I had to cancel my runs this morning with everything.
two ways that now. Getting in and out of the car.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not easy.
Then come back. It's way back.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now getting that, we haven't figured that out. But we're getting there. That's just the deal. Yeah, it's good. But it's doable.
Yeah, I remember that.
Drink more water.
Here. This one.
Sure. David Riley's been listening to you. He's not sure.
It's a great suit, man.
He does, doesn't he?
I now call to order this May 29th special meeting. Madam Treasurer, may we have a roll call?
President Goodwin,
Here.
Dr. Bailey,
Here.
Mr. Lacy,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Reiner,
Present.
Mr. Walker,
Present.
Ms. Wick.
Present.
7 present.
Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower. Our vision is to inspire, educate, empower scholars for a lasting impact. And our purpose is to cultivate a supportive and engaging educational experience. Are there any bargaining units here to speak? All right. Madam Treasurer, do we have anyone registered to speak from the public?
No.
All right. We are moving into our first Department of Budget presentation. I believe that is our lovely intern and auditor. Brilliant intern and auditor. She is brilliant.
I'm really excited to be here today to present the fiscal year 26 Internal Audit Department budget. We can move on to the next slide. This is truly just an overview slide, which has more detail in the next two slides, so we're going to go ahead and skip this one, but we can always refer back to it. One of the first things that I want to highlight that will impact both this slide and the next slide is that this department was reestablished this last fiscal year. So with that being said, there are some significant increases to, and a percentage-wise, to non-payroll expenses, because we previously or currently are budgeted for zero payroll expense, non-payroll expenses. And then there were also some increases to our payroll expenses as well, because the only thing budgeted for in this fiscal year was my payroll and my benefits as well. We can actually go back, I'm sorry. The total fiscal year 26 total payroll request is $422,160. This includes both my benefits and salaries, as well as the Executive Secretary, Tina Cornett, and the new vacant position as of the next fiscal year, the Internal Audit Coordinator position. This coordinator position will be focused on increasing the amount of audits and projects that the department will be focused on for the next fiscal year, and will also help expand testing to make sure that it is even more thorough and we're covering different areas of processes when we're evaluating. You can go to the next one. For our non-payroll requests, the total non-payroll requests for the next fiscal year is $14,500. The non-payroll request includes trainings, so virtual and in-person trainings. Specifically, this is related to certifications that I myself hold, and hopefully the new person will hold as well. For different certifications, each certification usually has about 40 continuing professional education hours, which are required to continue to have that certification, let alone if there are specific trainings that will increase the ability and the skill to audit specific areas. So that's where that goes, and that also includes the travel associated with such trainings that are in person. The membership dues is next for $1,000. That includes Institute of Internal Audit membership dues, as well as ISACA membership dues for the district employees under this department. Both of those membership dues not only help for awareness of different industry best practices, they have journals, publications that are available to members as well for free. And then also they do reduce the cost for trainings. So if there's a training that has to do with a specific area, oftentimes it's a half of the price to non-members. So this actually is beneficial to the district fiscally as well. And then the Knowledge Leader tool, this is a software that basically is like a bank and a library for not only journals and publications that have to do with different auditing standards, but also industry best practices. It also helps highlight different testing procedures, and this will be extremely beneficial, this knowledge source, as we go about this next fiscal year, as developing and fine-tuning those procedures, methodologies, and policies are one of the #1 priorities of the department. And then meeting materials such as food for audit committee member meetings. Those are quarterly meetings that are between the hours of 5:30 and 7, so typically at dinner time, so having some snacks there and some water and potentially some soda will be helpful to appreciate those volunteers. And then also this is able to be used for other supplies such as paper and notebooks and pens and all the things that are necessary to just produce work in general. We can move on. As a reminder, the department's impact, the goal of this department is to provide value-added independent assurance services that assist DPS in achieving its goals. Assess and approve risk management, internal controls, and operational processes while promoting accountability, compliance, and effective resource use. At the end of the day, like every other department here, we're here for the students. We want to be able to, even though we are behind the scenes and not necessarily student-facing all the time, we want to empower our staff to be able to do the best that they can do in their positions, but then also highlight areas for improvement that we can all move forward and pursue as a district as a whole. continuing to push that continued growth mindset. So that's it. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation, and I also appreciate the work that we've seen in the short time that you've been with us. I think it's been very beneficial. Any comments from the board?
Appreciate the presentation. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. All right, our next budget presentation is from the Department of Exceptional Children.
Good evening, everyone. So the Office for Exceptional Children's budget overview page is just like Sarah's, so we can skip it. All it is a summary, so we'll go right into the second page if you're okay with that. Thank you.
What page are we going to?
This is not the same one I have.
We're just gonna follow you. You just talk to us about what you have there.
All right, well.
We'll just listen to you. All
That's
eyes
it.
on you.
That's it. Okay, so the full-time employees, 471, compared with 485 for the 26 school year. As you can see, that's an increase. The 25 total payroll is 40 million, 40.2 million. It's going to go up a little bit. So there's an increase right there in the staffing payroll as we have increased our student enrollment. So you can see that our student with disabilities in 24-25 is 2,238 students with disabilities. And I think I typoed that. One of those is supposed to be the other year. So we have an increase to 2,301 students with disabilities. Again, that's a typo. It should say 25-26. So we have 485 FTEs is what we're budgeting for this upcoming year. Good with that? The next page is the non-payroll requests. We have purchase services, which includes our contractors. We have to contract, like we've talked about before, for some of our related services, and interpreters, things like that. So we're at 775 there. We're going down in this. The reason why we're going down in this area is because we've employed some board-certified behavior analysts and some RBTs, registered behavior technicians. So we're going to try to put some of those services in-house rather than contracted out. And that's going to save us some money. So that's where the saving is really coming from. We're trying to really build up that program. We have a lot of students with high needs in behavior management. And so it's a good program to have in-house. So we are hiring if anybody out there wants a job. And other than that, our impact is our next page. So the Office for Exceptional Children ensures equity across access and opportunity for some of our most vulnerable students. Our impact is not simply measured in the terms of compliance, but really in life-changing outcomes. We work to help students gain independence, gainful employment, and to participate meaningfully in our communities. So I kind of ran through that kind of quickly, but you guys have had it for about a month, I think. So you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you for the presentation. I will say I did get to see some of your staff recently.
Say it again?
I got to see some of your staff members recently, and I hope the scavenger hunt went well. Are there any questions from the board?
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the 14 increase in staff, is the reason for that twofold? Is it partly because, as you said, you're moving some in-house and
staff as well. We have an increase in students, so we need more teachers, and we are increasing in-house. So when I say in-house, I'm talking about the OEC office, which is consisting of those BCBAs and those RBTs.
So does the change in ESSERS, does that affect that also, or no?
I can't answer that. I'd have to refer that to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got my answer.
So none of this is grant.
Okay, right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
Any other questions?
I'll just say on the record what I said earlier. I think you're the first presentation that you are decreasing your non-payroll request. So I'm very appreciative to see that. Thank you.
Well, I hope it lasts. Thank you, everyone.
Something else.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Anderson, I believe you're up.
All right, good evening, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you President Goodwine, Dr. Betty, VP, Dr. Lawrence, Treasurer Avahan, the board members. I'm going to go over some budget information, staffing, then Mr. Calhoun will speak about departmental impact, and then Dr. Benson and Dr. Jones will speak about strategic planning. So we'll start with budget. Next slide, please.
Can I interrupt you 1 second? Can someone give some of us access to this slide, because it's saying to request?
I'm just going to read that.
Okay, you can keep going though. I just wanted them to know that we didn't have it.
Okay, good. We'll start with full year 26, 227 full-time employees, 15.2 million, 15,237,320 to be exact, and in our non-payroll, 11,372,732, as opposed to this year, 213 full-time employees, 13.8 million for our salary and benefit requests, and our non-payroll, $8 million. So, and you can see that's a net of 14 full-time employees, 1.4 million in salary and benefits, and the total non-payroll will be 3,355,824. Next slide, please. And you can see another breakdown. This full year, 213 employees, or 13.8, versus our request for next year is 227 full-time employees, that 15.2 I spoke of, and that increase, and then the 1.4. You can see the breakdown, 130 bus drivers, full-time bus drivers, the pairs about 60, mechanics 10, administrators 8, and then the DSS combined with our 6 van drivers are 16, and 3 clericals, and that's how we arrived at the 227. Then our non-payroll request, that purchasing service, purchase service, you can see we're requesting, we had 3.2 million for last year. Then this year it jumps because we're purchasing our RTA bus passes through that versus previous years being purchased by ESSER. So that's why you see an increase there up to 4,590,115. Then the next one, conversely, you can see a decrease, 4.2 million was used this year. We're requesting 2.8 million for this upcoming school year, and that's a $1.3 million decrease because over the past few years we've done a good job of purchasing primarily for our buses, backup cameras. We also have PA systems. Those are things that are not year over year purchase requests. We've already purchased those, so we don't have to continue to do so over our 175 buses. So then our dues go up somewhat. We really want to focus on professional development, not only for administrators, but our bus drivers with, say, OAPT in Columbus, our mechanics or certification. The buses that we do have, the new ones that we received just last year are so much more sophisticated than our older buses. So we really want to make sure that our mechanics, for example, stay up to speed as far as training, what's required to maintain the maintenance on those vehicles. Then also no advance fees. So $8 million last year was used. We're requesting this year the $11,372,732 for an increase primarily driven somewhat by the RTA bus passes of 3.3 million. On the bottom there, the rationale is we really want to continue not only professional development, but continue to work on the culture and customer service. And that's internal to DPS, internal to transportation, but also with the community, with the schools, our administrators there. So we want to continue to improve. I think we made some improvement over the last couple of years, but we still have a pretty good amount of improvement needed in that area. Also, we want to continue to hire, train, and retain school bus drivers. We did a good job this year. We had some retirements, some resignations, but year over year, our hiring has kind of mitigated the loss that we felt there. So we don't anticipate any retirements next year, for example, but until we get into the school year, we'll see. So we'll continue to hire and retain our drivers, but also our mechanics, our DSS members, et cetera. Then lastly, that decrease, as I mentioned, in the supplies is because we purchased a great deal of items for our buses over the previous 2 or 3 school years. Next slide, please.
Can I ask while you're coming, the increase of the 14 staff, what is that going towards? Is that an increase of bus drivers, increase of mechanics, pairs? Where's that 14 coming in at?
Some of those are actually just being brought back from when they were funded under ESSER funding.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then we're also having a couple more drivers to try to mitigate the issue that we've had with drivers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. So we're actually working to reduce uncovered routes by increasing staffing, of course, but also by route consolidation. We've looked and seen, hey, where can we become more efficient here? How can we explain these things to our employees in advance so that they know, hey, what you start with at this time might not be what you end with. It actually says in the union contract that we could do this based upon enrollment, but making sure that we are clear and upfront with what's going on, and that is for the sake of our children and getting them to and from school. But also looking to see, hey, can this school ride in this direction with this school? Can this kid be picked up around this time? Things like that, just to be looking at it from a logistics standpoint. Of course, we're gonna have a safety mindset behind it, but making sure that we are really crunching down on those numbers and getting the most out of the environment. We were able to do that this summer, for example. We actually cut our summer routes in half based upon what we did last year. So just so that we were able to build on and learn and not just start in August with something that we haven't currently been working on. Also improve zone coverage, like I said, by tighter routing. Of course, we talked about it before, I think at the board retreat. There's some of those buses that are wheelchair accessible that for years have just been used for children with exceptional needs. No, we're actually, of course, pushing towards the integration. Of course, we'll have to consider there are certain cases where a child may need to ride by themselves. They might have to have that service. But most children that have special transportation, we talked about this with Ms. Dismore plenty of times, most of the time it really just says they're required a ride. So can they be on a different bus? Can we add other children onto this bus to get them to where they need to go so that we don't have 2 or 3 buses in the same area going to the same school, picking up a brother and not their sibling, so that we're really able to consolidate and make it as efficient as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Goodwine, Dr. Lawrence. This is the information that we gathered from our students and our staff and community members as we work to improve and make transportation more efficient. And so just a few things, I won't go through all of them because there are a lot of them, but timeliness and reliability was the #1 theme. That was one of the data points that popped up frequently, whether it was a student that said, I wanted my bus to come when I get outside, or it was a parent that had to wait. That was a #1 theme. Safety and security about being at the bus hub, we've talked about that. The bus environment and the conditions. This is related to the physical state of the buses, such as cleanliness, the temperature, some things too hot, need more air. The one thing about the young people is that they were very, very clear about what they wanted. And young people said they were thankful to have transportation, some of our elementary students. And so they had a lot to input. They were concerned about student behavior and management of students on the buses, one of the things that they asked us to look at and to work on. Next slide. The bus drivers, there was really good feedback about the bus drivers, and we are working on different professional development opportunities for our bus drivers, working on our training to include more training that reflects the nature of the job. We tool our drivers with a CDL, but we are also working on our training program so that we provide them with a toolkit of driving a bus with a full group of yelling and screaming students, or working with parents that are at the bus stop and may not be in the best of moods on any given day. And so we're working on our training program so that we adapt it to the actual experience. And that was one of the things that both parents and students talked about. The routes and the coverages. came up, how long I'm on the bus, as well as the bus passes and the accessibility. Next slide. Communication and information. Parents want to know where their buses are, needing the app to be faster, update faster, how they could get more communication about where the bus is, if the bus is delayed, if their route changes. They also, theme 9, positive feedback and contentment. Some respondents expressed satisfaction with the current transportation. As I stated, one child said that they were extremely grateful for their transportation. And there was a desire for amenities such as snacks and music and TVs and things on the bus. Some of our younger riders thought we should upgrade their experience. So we have actually talked to, between the community, the students, as well as our transportation employees, we've received over 2,000 responses regarding our transportation experience, and we continue to engage to make sure that as we move forward with our transportation plan for the future, that we are addressing the needs of not just the students, but the employees and the community as a whole. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. B, for elucidating the themes drawn from our students, staff, family, and community members. I think it's going to be critically important in developing our strategic plan that we will share with the board at a date not too far from now. Now, the topic at hand that is very pressing, I believe, to some degree threatens everything that we want to do, that we are attempting to do. As all of you know, there has been legislation introduced in House Bill 96 that will restrict mass transit organizations' ability to allow students to transfer to other buses at downtown hubs. Highly restrictive. Okay, and so what we have done is create somewhat of a, not a flow chart, but a depiction of what will happen if House Bill 96 passes and what will happen if House Bill 96 fails. First things first, if House Bill 96 passes, again, our students will not be able to transfer to another bus downtown. Where does that leave us? Everyone here already knows that utilizing our own yellow buses is not an option at this time. We would need, in essence, 73 buses at the cost of around $10.9 million. And we would also have to find drivers. Dr. B and I have met with Mr. Bob Rosinski from the RTA. He shared with us that they could in fact, or they're capable of developing another limited service route for our students. It's a good plan, but it's something that can't be achieved this year. It will take a year. And then on top of that, those LS routes more than likely will not be set up for our competitors, charter schools and parochial schools. So then we'll have to contract with another service provider, Peterman or First Student. And we know how that went when we were originally with First Student. We racked up fines. And so, having said that, I want to propose option 1 and option 2, and maybe perhaps have a discussion right now with the school board if you so choose. But option 1 is to commit to a signed contract with RTA for LS routes. Again, that'll be a year away. The rough estimate of that cost is $3 million. But we, again, we would incur other costs because we still have to transport charter school students and parochial students. Option 2 is to increase our capacity to transport DPS students, charter school students, and parochial students. Again, that comes with a cost. We need the buses and we need the drivers, and therefore we need time to actually do this. Now, there have been some other discussions about having a limited hours passes by the RTA that students could utilize in the morning, and then have like LS routes in the afternoon. That still hinges on whether or not House Bill 96 passes. If that passes, they still need a hub for students to transfer to get to school. And so I would suggest, if House Bill 96 passes, we suspend transportation for a year. That would enable us to work with the RTA and other vendors that could provide transportation for charter school students and parochial students.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jones. You gave a pause. I figured you were ready for the conversation. Before I open it up to the board, I'm gonna ask Dr. Lawrence to kind of weigh in on this one. And then I'm gonna ask Mr. Lacy, since you were there the last time that we started the suspension of transportation. And then Ms. Reiner and Ms. Witt, because you guys were there when you started to bring it back. If you just had kind of your perspectives on what this would look like since it's happened here before. Go ahead, Dr. Lawrence.
First, I want to say great job, Dr. Jones, you and your team. Dr. Jones and I had a chance to huddle up earlier today, and I support his recommendation, but I just add that we have some academic data that I sent him from the academic team. We surveyed parents as well, a little over 200, about what the consequences would be for no transportation. And some of the feedback we received was, I'd have to pull my kids out, not sure how to get there, it'd be financially a strain on the family. So definitely support the direction he's going in, but just adding some more data to it. And then, I know he and his team are working hard to think about even other options that may not be as drastic, but this is where we are now.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy.
Yeah, we suspended service under Superintendent Ward. I mean, I can share some stories from the time. I think Superintendent Ward recommended it shortly after. I believe, if I remember correctly, she was at Dunbar when the power went out at Dunbar for some reason. I'm not sure what it was. We didn't have the quality business manager that we have today, probably. But, she said she made the decision to close the school for the day. And she said within 2 or 3 minutes, every student was gone from that parking lot where they'd been waiting. She also, I mean, in the period after, I'm not sure if it was the full year after, she claimed that attendance, high school attendance, actually had improved. Not to say that not providing high school transportation doesn't would improve it. It's probably just it happened to be. She felt that it had. At the time, it really had a negligible effect on attendance. So that's my history with suspension of high school transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. You have said something that makes Dr. Lawrence want to say something else. So, Dr. Lawrence.
I was a high school principal then when Superintendent Ward ended transportation at Thurgood Marshall High School. And I believe the state data records will show our attendance hovered around 88% during the years that I was there. So I did not, at that time, see a precipitous decline. And you are correct, Mr. Lacy, we did not have a superstar business manager at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan.
What's going on here?
If I may, can I ask a follow-up question to Board Member Lacey? What was the parents and student reaction to suspension of high school transportation at the time?
I'm probably not the best person to ask that because I really don't personally get a lot of reaction. Reaction before the board, I don't remember there being much of any at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Wick and then Mr. Smith, because you were also on the board when we brought it back. You were in 2020.
Thank you, Dr. Jones, for that information, the presentation. I appreciate that. I would like to see the attendance data from that period of time when transportation was changed. When Jocelyn and I started back on the board, we just started introducing then high school transportation again. And then COVID happened, and that's when we had our LS bus lines, and Superintendent Lally was doing a lot of work to try to facilitate all the needs of the community. I do think that different times require different action, clearly. I'd like to know, we can get a number about what if we have a $14 million budget for transportation next year, what percentage of that is reflected in transporting our 9 through 12 students, and then how we can redirect those funds to, say we have to go with option number 1, we have to redirect those funds to get those funds into the buildings so that we can help the families that need the help to get to the schools, whether it's vans, whether it's different avenues of transportation. I do think that we sit with a lot of power and a lot of resources, and it's incumbent upon us to use our power and our resources wisely in these moments to do the best we can by our students and our community. I know that our academic team and our superintendent are doing such fantastic work around making our education model more exciting that I do believe that kids will get to school. So I'd like to see the attendance data from that time. I'd like to know what the savings is going to be if we do have to make some choices around this stuff so that we can determine, we can make sure that our community stakeholders, our parents and our students know that there will be resources available in those buildings. And then we'd have to understand from an impact and with our legal team what that does with our charter school requirements and not with our charter school requirements. We are not required to provide high school transportation. We are not. So, and I know that's a difficult conversation to have, but I think that we should have town halls around the conversation. We can't make these decisions just all willy-nilly. We need to involve people. Dr. Lawrence has said we've done, 200 surveys. Well, we have 5,000 kids and 5,000 families. How can we do this better? And so I think some town halls around discussion so that when we do have to make the decisions that all stakeholders have been heard. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We, the town halls that we have had, the listening sessions, were really, really informative, and there was a lot of energy in the room, a lot of creative ideas. We were able to dispel some of the misconceptions about what could be done, what can't be done, and I would say that the community has a true interest in continuing and having those discussions. So that is definitely
And they do,
in the
and
plan.
not just our students and our families, but also our larger community is interested too.
Right.
So I think really being intentional about the work, and there lots of times we have to reset. This transportation has been a hot topic for 2 years now. And for us to continue to do the same thing and expect different outcomes, what do they say? That's the definition of insanity. It's time to do something different. If we need to take a pause and come up with some creative solutions around what we're doing with our resources to do better, then let's do that. So thank you.
And we'll have that, I'll have that attendance data soon. I have someone working on that.
So I hear what we're saying around doing some different things, changing this and that, how things work, we also saw that when we did not provide high school transportation, we had chronic absenteeism rates of around 40% for every high school outside of Ponance and Stivers. So we've seen what this looks like. This isn't a new thing of let's go see what this looks like for a year. We saw that people weren't coming to school at high rates. Like, this is not a new thing, let's try something new. And then it's, on top of that, if we do not provide transportation, these kids still have to get to school some way, and they're all not getting dropped off. So they're still all gonna be on the bus somehow, and then they're still gonna be somewhere at a hub that now will not have support from the district if we're not providing these things. So then there's no reason to have SROs at the hub because we're not paying for 10 students down to the hub, but they'll still end up at the hub. And now we're saying, to heck with their safety that we talked about, it was so unsafe, because they'll still be in the same hub. We saw this happen before. Like, I don't see any benefit of saying, let's just stop. If we talk about the safety piece, the kids are still unsafe and they're more unsafe without having SROs down there. If we talk about the attendance, we saw this. Like, that was literally what Dr. Lally was going after when she said, let's get transportation for our high school kids. We saw that Meadowdale, Belmont, Thurgood, like, their attendance was not at a level. And so then even when you look at these global things, it's easy for us to look at it and say, well, our numbers didn't fluctuate that much. We had chronic absenteeism of 40% at every high school that was not the two high schools, Ponance and Stivers. That was clearly there at that time. You had the same issues going on downtown. The problem is we do these things and we then do them half-baked where we're not putting all the same things in place. That's how we got here. We got here by going, okay, we're gonna start this with RTA. Okay, we're not gonna do LS routes. We even saw what happened when we waited a year. When we waited a year, RTA sold buses, changed people's jobs, and that's why we never got back to having real LSs. So we even saw that part. So my thing is, all the things we're talking about doing, we've seen what happens there. Even with this House bill, the pieces in there are that they cannot be routed through a central downtown hub. We just saw downtown change everything for a week within a few months, and RTA stops were changed, routes were changed, and we're sitting here saying that we have nothing else to do but throw our hands up and say, let's not get our kids to school somehow. Let them figure it out, when before we were finding passes for kids to try to go to work, try to do extracurricular, and now we're gonna say, let them figure it out on their own. To me, that's not worth saying, okay, we can save some money, we won't have to transport charters, because my biggest thing are the children of Dayton Public Schools. We've seen that even with everything else that goes on, these kids are on these RTAs. This is a bigger conversation. It's a conversation around, we see now that students in certain spots aren't even picked up there. Drivers go by students. Drivers won't let students off in certain places. Like I said, we just saw, we had the NATO conference down here, and they put out a whole thing of how things were rerouted. The RTA flyer was rerouted. We've sat in conversations recently where they're saying, okay, we can have these kind of passes that will cut off at these times, cut back on at this time. Like, it's not hard to find the data because Dayton Public Schools is in the news every other week about transportation. That was the biggest thing. And so when we went, because we did not do it full-fledged, the original plan dealing with RTA was never done. So we've never really done this and seen it because we didn't get full-fledged LS routes. We pulled out of the LS route contract before the routes were all the way finished. We didn't have specialized passes. We just gave kids passes. Like, we did not actually do that. And so instead of looking at those things and then putting pressure on the RTA, because that is what the House bill is about. It's not saying we can't move our kids. It's saying they cannot transport them through that central hub. There's still the ability to find a separate hub with the ability to do these passes that go off at certain times of the day. But for me, I look at it now, and we're in post-COVID. We already have all these other situations. I don't see the benefit. Our kids aren't safer by doing it. Our academics aren't made better by doing it. It's like we're cutting off our nose to spite our face because we don't have other people to help us. So that's my thought on it.
Thank you, Ms. Reiner.
Thank you, President Goodwine. I kind of want to piggyback something that Board Member Wick said briefly in that, this has been going on for quite some time. I'm in year 8 of my board service, and transportation issues were a conversation before I even decided to run for the board. This is actually a symptom of a larger problem of mandates put on us by the state and our inability to meet the needs of all of our students. I was in a meeting last week with state legislators, and one of them recognized, and I'm grateful for that, the fact that our inability to transport all the kids that we are legally obligated to transport is impossible because of the mandates by the state. And this legislator would like those things to change. We are watching the Senate sub-bill go through committee right now just for people's information. The amendment was in the House bill, and now the bill is in the Senate going through committee. We will be fortunate if the amendment is not in the final Senate version, and I'm crossing my fingers for that. But, you know, there have been things that have worked better, and obviously not being able to use RTA passes through the hub would significantly hinder our ability to get high school students to and from school. I wanted to ask you some clarification questions, Dr. Jones. The LS routes that we had the discussion with RTA about last week, these are not the same LS routes that we had previously.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit more what was explained, or do you recall what Bob Brzezinski said that he could do for LS routes if we were to resume our contract with RTA for those?
So, for the afternoon service, yes, and so there would be another hub outside of downtown Dayton that the RTA would utilize to get our students to and from school. The only, I guess, we'd find ourselves in a quagmire still because we have parochial and charter school students that we'd have to move. And so if Bob could get that done for us, we would have to look at, again, partnering with another transportation service provider to accommodate our other obligations.
And if I recall correctly, it was transportation through LS, the RTA LS service, but from school to after-school activities. It wasn't from school to home at the end of the day either. So drastically different from the previous LS service that we did before that seemed to work pretty well.
Right.
All things being said. This service would not even be available in the 25-26 school year. We would have to wait a whole year for them to build up their staff and to buy the buses.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's an imperfect solution that would even take us another year to go down there. I think the board should consider it as a real option. I just wanted people to know that it's not available this next coming 25-26 school year, and it would be different from the LS service that we had previously. And then the option 2, which, the estimated cost in year 1 would be $16 million. What about years 2, 3, 4, and 5? And this is also a year away because we can't implement this in the 25-26 school year. It's down the road. I think that as of now, I would love to explore this option as well too, but I would like to know not just year 1 costs, but down the line, what the cost would be after that initial. Go ahead. Yes,
So
you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do. In years 2 and beyond, it would be salaries and benefits of our drivers.
But do we know
and then
what that would be?
maintenance, roughly $3 million for salary, benefits. I'm sure that Hewitt can help out with that. I would say somewhere close to $5 million total, salary and benefits.
How many do you think?
It would be 73 drivers.
70, about 5 million?
I'm thinking about $5 million because it was about 3 in terms of salaries and some benefits, maybe an extra 2. And then, of course, with the cost of living expenses that go up every year, but the initial, that in year 1, it would be roughly $16 million because of the buses. After that, we don't have to purchase any more buses outside of our typical, purchasing cycle.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Goodwin.
Thank you. Hold on. It's Dr. Lawrence next.
Dr. Jones, you and I shared some information this weekend around Cincinnati and their system in Cincinnati. They have their version of RTA. They have hubs all around the city, and they have services to those centralized hubs where kids in 7th through 12th grade go to those hubs and are picked up. So their version of RTA service, they've developed a system for Cincinnati Public Schools so they can ride transport 7th through 12 back and forth grade.
And perhaps we partner with RTA and we take a trip, down to Cincinnati and figure out how they achieved moving that volume of students around the city.
All right, Mr. Walker.
Thanks, Dr. Jones. So for me, I want to look at it on different sides of it as well. Yes, House Bill 96 is a thing, but like looking at realistically what happens with that House bill, and the Senate passes amendment, it goes back to the House passes the new version, and then with the governor even signing, may veto out certain line items. I think for me, it's looking at more so here locally, the impact of like what non-transport of high school students and things like that. So when we look at high school students now, every student in DPS or charter is eligible for a bus pass or something like that and have the option to go to the hub. When we take that away from like students and things like that, I think I'm more so interested in what does that say now to a parent on do I have $60 or $80 to afford a pass for my kid to get to school? We have a lot of our staff who are living really in their car in a sense. So how do we look at like these as actual realistic things that is being recommended for families to take under consideration? And looking at if a family has 5 high school students in their household who they have to get to and from school now, there may be different schools. Some may go to Stivers, some may go to Ponitz and things like that. So this extra expense that family will take on, what happens with the $2.5 million when the state is saying on the other side that DPS, you are over your 30% in revenue, and we have to do away with that. So now what do we do with that $2.5 million?
I think we have to be creative. I don't think that the answer exists within Dayton. I think collectively we can figure out an alternative, but it won't be the silver bullet, if you will. A lot really does hinge on House Bill 96. If it does not pass, then we still work frantically to engage in option 1, right, in year 2, while also providing our students with the RTA passes.
Now, on that same piece, today is Thursday, and looking at these options and the amount of money that is paid to RTA, the city of Dayton yesterday passed an amendment where RTA is giving them $117,000 to provide off-duty police officers at the hub until December. Has the city said anything as far as revenue to the district to support whatever initiative is to go into effect?
No one has contacted me. I'm not sure if someone has contacted Dr. Lawrence or Hewitt, but I have not been contacted.
Okay, so if we were to ratify the removal of high school transportation for a year, what does that say about the overtime of staff that work the hub with regards to safety and security? Will we do away with that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the hub will be specifically City of Dayton responsibility for if you've come down there, it's your job to handle it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bailey.
Yeah, couple of things. One, I'm a little confused, and I'm piggybacking off of Karen Wick. I'd like to see the data on absentees as far as the students are concerned, because I've heard 2 different stories up here. One saying they didn't have so much of a drop in students being absent. And then I'm hearing on the other side that there was a drastic drop of students. So I would love to see that. The last meeting I was in, and help me if I'm wrong, I know you were not there, so maybe you guys had another meeting after this, but RTA specifically said that they were not going to change their routes for us, and especially this coming year. We talked about the LS buses. That was something that was totally different. Said that they didn't have the buses to do that. They didn't have the personnel to do that. We don't have the buses to do that. We don't have the personnel to do that for this upcoming year. So I'm trying to understand if this bill passes, then it seems to me that our hands are totally tied in transporting our students and trying to transport students that are not ours. So I'll let you respond to that first.
Well, that's my posture as well.
Okay.
Dr. Bailey, if I may, at the second meeting, what was presented to us was the state representative asked RTA to not charge the district the $80 and take it to what they charge regular adults. The second piece of that meeting was RTA could not do the LS services, but what they would look to do is a limited LS service in the afternoon where they're sending 3 or 4 buses to each high school to then transport students to a centralized location, and then those same buses will then change to whatever route it is that student needs to get on to then go to their home location.
So when they talked before, they said that they could do, I think it was morning routes, but then not the evening routes.
So now he switched it.
So now they can do the evening routes.
And not the
But
morning.
not the morning routes, which still puts us in a horrible position.
Quandary, yeah.
With our students. So then do we, I mean, if we're able to transport them, which we're not, then we would transport them in the morning and in the afternoon. But right now, I mean, it seems like everybody is throwing all the ownership on DPS, but we're transporting charter schools students. They have no buy-in to this thing. My feeling, honestly, is that if we were to suspend for a year, maybe some of these charter schools would get a buy-in to this and start helping us with transportation and figuring out a way. Did you have something before?
No, sir.
It's interesting because one of the charter schools, their superintendent was in this meeting and he was raving about how they stopped, charters stopped using DPS to transport their students. So then I asked the question, I said, well, he said they were doing they went to first student and everything got better. I said, oh, well, great. I said, so they're transporting your high schoolers as well? And he says, nope. I said, well, who transports your high schoolers? Well, DPS transports our high schoolers. So I'm not understanding why he was gloating about that. Our hands are tied, and I know this is going to be a hard decision to make because it's not going to be favorable either way. But it's going to be a decision that we're going to have to make. I just think right now, at least try for a year to see what happens if we suspend. So, and then maybe you guys can come up with a solution within that year with RTA to see where we are, because they were not, I even asked if we could, I went by the West Hub and the East Hub, which is hardly used, West Town and the other one. I went by both of those. When I asked RTA, they told us, no, they were not going to change their routes and for our kids to be picked up there. So that's just where I'm at right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all the comments. I actually think there's a fourth option too that we rarely talk about because it's also a costly piece there. There is an actual reality that we could work towards to actually go take this to the judicial branch and just ignore the obligations that we have to the charter schools and fully bust all of our kids. To do that, though, we will be sued. 100%. We are going to be sued. And that type of support, like, as we talk about, I understand the larger community and all that. But for us, if we ever took any step of boldness like that, we need our community to back us on this, because again, although anyone in Dayton can elect any of the 7 people up here who are sit up here next, everyone in Dayton doesn't send their children to Dayton Public Schools. So that balance here, and I think that was a bold thing, that was a brief discussion last year to prioritize our students first. And I know our transportation team wants to transport our babies from K through 12 in that piece of it. And like, even when we think about that, we don't know if we will win that fight or not. We have no idea because it hasn't happened. And it hasn't gotten to the level where the judicial branch has weighed a decision on if the law is just or not. So that is also a consideration as we talk about all these things. Like, yes, whatever we do, it's going to be a hard decision, because if the bill passes and we continue with these things, I have no idea how it's going to be enforced. But I would rather not put children in a position to be arrested, because that is usually when you break the law, an officer is involved in that piece of it. And I definitely don't want to subject children to that, because I don't know who will be enforcing this, but I do know, because it's so heavy right now at this moment of time, something is going to happen to ensure that the message is sent out amongst these inner city schools to get your children off these places, or they will suffer. I also don't like the fact that these things don't affect adults. Every decision we're talking about, the end user is a child. And it's grown-ups way beyond their adolescent years who are putting children in very, very uncomfortable positions. And I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow right there. I think too, the timeline that we're talking about here, like, we'll know by our next review session, because they would be done with this. Is that not correct, Ms. Reiner?
I don't know the day for the release of the Senate bill. It will be soon. The whole process won't be done, but we will have an idea of whether it's in the Senate bill.
We'll know if it made it through or not. So even that piece of it here, I do believe, and I've spoken to both of you guys about the decision that you need from us. I imagine that timeline is sooner than later, as individuals will need to prepare on what that means from here. So the question, I think, for me that is before this board is, how bold are we ready to be? Like, on one hand, we can transport all our kids at the peril of not doing the people who are not our children. But knowing with that, we're going to be sued, because that's what people do. And you get that decision, and then you finally get a chance to take the legislator's piece to the judicial branch and have it adjudicated. I don't know if it'll go well for us or not. I have no idea. I know that there's a cost to that. That cost still takes away from stuff that we would invest in, again, this whole educational outcome of it. We have the option of taking a less resistant pass here, of just suspending it. There is a cost to that as well. It's not necessarily as financial, but it is a social piece of it, of individuals. Like, this will be a huge ask, not only on what we said. I'm gonna echo Board Member Wick down there. Community members who are our partners, as well as those who have not been identified as partners, will need to help step up, because the reality is, children still, and these young adults still need to get from their house to our institutions in a way that is successful. We can't do much about it on our end, because again, as we know, when we take official action, whatever we do for our children, we have to do for the charter kids. So that piece of it here, that really calling on this village mindset and this village to show up, and actually having some individuals that have some stake in the game, that are helping, because they say everything that should happen here. And they ask us what you could help with. People need help learning to put carpools together. Individuals need help learning to get 18 passenger vans out and creating routes, and just working as a true community to fill a community need. That's a real piece right there. And I think even as we look at this option here, our reality is, as an organization, we're in a tight spot. We don't have many allies. And anyone who believes anything differently, there's not been one organization that has stood up and stood for DPS in a meaningful way of, what you're doing to that organization is wrong. You're charging them to do something that you know they can never fulfill. There's not one entity out here that has made statements on our behalf outside of the 7 people who sit on this board and the individuals who work in this room. So that is another burden to us that we're fighting a battle alone.
Right.
And we cannot win in the immediate alone. Probably can do something over the long stretch, but today, we need support.
Right.
We need support, and not just a Facebook post, not just a written letter to the newspaper. We need real people to show up for us this entire time and help us, because there are real children who will be impacted by whatever decision we make, and whether those are district children or external children. And yes, my hope and my focus is more so on our children, but I am not illusionary to know, like all the children in the city of Dayton, if those children also can't get to school, I'm gonna echo Dr. Bailey. I wish that the other schools would step up to the table and bring resources to lighten the load here, but that hasn't happened here. And if those children aren't at school as well, those children are most likely to be, as what Board Member Smith stated, not here, not there, not wherever they're supposed to be, which means they'll be either at home or they'll be somewhere in our city street, in our community. And chances are, if you're in the community and you're school age and you're not at school during those hours, you're not doing anything good or productive. And that doesn't help us as a city grow, because again, as Board Member Wick said, our duty to our larger community is a real duty. And that's the thing there, but we still need them. Again, a relationship can't work if 2 places or 2 entities aren't trying to make it better.
I agree.
So I echo the information that I heard. I've seen all your hands go up, but I'm gonna call on you. But I echo what my counterparts, our colleagues have stated here, that I do think we have some real decisions. I truly believe and hope that no matter what we do, because it's going to be a hard thing and it's going to be something that changes what happens over the next year, that the village shows up in a way that we haven't seen the village in the last year. And whether it is that we ultimately suspend transportation for a year, if it's that we take another step and we just focus on just our students, if we do nothing and continue on the path we're on right now, that again, the village is still needed, because again, every day something is happening to our young adults in the city of Dayton. I saw Dr. Bailey, then I saw Board Member Reiner, then I saw Mr. Smith, in that order. Did you raise your hand? Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on something that Will said about how they came in for NATO and they changed all the routes and things like that. To me, that showed me something that, you know, you've got the political people, the governors and all of them who want to bring that in, and they will change the routes for them. But they are not willing to change the routes for our kids. They had fences up, they had roads blocked off. I know for a fact that some of the business owners downtown lost a lot of money, had to shut down. But as long as those that are, as I would say, in power, are asking for that to happen, then they will break their necks to make sure that it happens. There's a lot of overtime with police and everything else that they did. Again, we are on an island by ourselves. And I piggyback off of what Dr. Goodwine says. There's no one that has come to say, hey, let us help you. And, you know, so our hands are really, really tied. So, thank you.
Board Member Reiner?
Thank you. I just want to point out to the public, if we were to not transport non-public students, it would not just be getting sued. It would be massive, massive fines. So on top of the very real situation, what it would be, it would be a significant amount. That's all.
Board Member Smith?
Yes, ma'am. Something was said that stuck out, and it said we have to be creative. And that's why I feel that if we were to take the stance of not providing high school transportation, that's the total opposite end of being creative. Like, it's like saying we don't even want to try, is what we would be really saying to our king. We're saying we're on an island by ourselves. DPS is doing this alone. And so then we'd be telling our students, not only are we out here alone as DPS, but now you're alone. You and your parents are alone. Y'all go figure this out, because this is where we were before. And this is where we were, and we kept seeing a drop in attendance. We saw drops in enrollment, because then we saw other spaces. We're in a space where we have to think of the totality. It's not a transportation thing on its own. Because we are dealing with, if I'm at a charter school, I'm hand selecting the type of children and families I'm going to have moving forward. So if I'm at a charter school from K through 8, where if a parent doesn't come to these events, if they're not involved in X, Y, and Z, their student cannot go there. So by the time it gets to a high school level, we're not hurting the charter high schools as much as we'd be hurting our high schools, because the charter high schools, they have people coming to pick them up. The drop-off and pickup line at some of our charters is a lot longer than some of the drop-up and parent pickup lines in our schools. It's not the same. So we're basically would be saying, y'all go figure this out, because our hands are tied. Where in reality, there's a lot we can do. We can talk to our staff, and there's been proposals from over the years of even our internal transportation to say, hey, this is how we could do things differently. Like, we're not looking at, we look at this whole totality as if we've had the same staff here for years. Our transportation team had been for years saying, this is how we can do these things. At the time, our leadership in some of these roles weren't allowing them to bring these things forward. So I don't think our hands are completely tied. I think our imagination has been tied in our ability to get out here, because I get it. If things are hard and we want the village to pick up, I know they're not. We talk about these things. We have people telling us we don't want kids downtown, but all of a sudden there's a private school opening in the arcade. We have people saying they believe in public schools, but yet everybody lined up to go to a city commission meeting to talk about how great the Greater Dayton School was. Like, I'm not sitting here delusional enough to think that people are going to step up and help out Dayton Public Schools when history and past behaviors have shown us that this community will step up to do everything against public education. That's why we're the charter hub of everything. Businesses started charter schools. Banks started charter schools. This hasn't been some happenstance movement. The same people that we're going around saying we need help from are the people that fund our competitors, really. This is how it's happened. Like, this is not something that we can sit back and not act like we'd be taking a drastic step to say, you guys go. We've been here before. Like, we've literally been here before, and we watched our community go off at board meeting after board meeting after board meeting about transportation. We watched people go off over and over to the point where when we first started LS busing again, it wasn't LS. And that's the other piece. LS busing has never been the same LS busing. So when we get out and we talk about it in the news, it's not the same, and that's why other people are able to say, hey, this won't be the same as before. It's never been the same as before. The LS buses that we got coming back in 2018 were dropping people off over a half a mile to a mile away from some of these schools. That was not LS busing. The LS busing we had previously was the same as an RTA route. It's just non-students couldn't get on those buses. So it's never been the same. If we're going to have this discussion, we have to be armed with the real information that has gone on. And right now, we're not. We're walking in and letting people tell us what they cannot do when we've seen what they can do. We've seen what the pressures can do. The conversations with RTA from 3 years ago are not the conversations now. You've said RTA said that they can work on specialty passes. That was not the conversation 3 years ago. The conversation 3 years ago was get them off of our buses. Matter of fact, we'll move these bus stops further away so they can't. And what really changed that was these 7 people and our staff going into these meetings and saying, no, we demand you do better. That's how we even got to the conversation where there's even talks about what to do differently. This didn't happen before. And so I think that's that part when we talk about what does even LS look like. The LS we got in 2018 was not the same. Even that school year, it started off one way and it changed in the middle of the year where bus passes got switched going into that winter break. And that was 2 years before I even got on the board. Like, this is a thing that unless we're going in and saying, what does this look like, we're not going to be able to change it. But to my belief is if we were to just go back and say we're not going to do this, it frees up everybody else who does not deal with us. Because it frees them up to say, okay, they're not having it. What's to say we need to get into a conversation with you guys next year? Because that's what happened before. We went away for just 1 year, and in that 1 year, RTA said, guess what? We're selling these buses. We're getting rid of these people. So I just don't get where, to me, that's a solution that helps anything, because at the end of the day, these students will still be downtown. No one's about to go and arrest these students at the edge of downtown and say you can no longer ride this bus right here. They're still gonna be down there, and we're saying that we're not gonna have staff down there to keep them safe. So basically, we're saying, figure out your own way to get to school. And if you do have to get to the hub, we don't have anybody down here to help you. So for me, I just don't get it. Doesn't make sense to tell our kids that they gotta figure out their own way to school.
Any other board members? Go ahead, Mr. Lacy.
Okay. This is from the Ohio Department of Education's website. The chronic absentee rates for Dayton Public Schools. Now, this is district-wide. It's just the easiest number to get right now. In 2016-17, we were at 30.1% chronic absentee. In 2017-18, we were 30.7%. Okay, I mean, I don't know we probably we probably started busing again in 2018, 2019. It went up to 34.1%. That's district-wide, and I'm sure there were other factors. Then you get into COVID, so I don't even have any rates for then. 21, 22, it was 30.4%. Just in the last 2 years, though, it did drop to, in 22, 23, it was 27%, and 23, 24, it was 25%. So, yeah, we had new administration at that time.
And,
Thank you, Mr. Lacy.
Yeah, and we're also, and thank you for that data set. The data set that I'm under the impression or understanding that Dr. Stanek also proposed or canceled transportation in 2009, maybe?
No, it was Lori Ward who succeeded.
So it was that transition?
It was a transition of
It was a
Stanek.
while after she
Yeah, it didn't come
succeeded
back
him,
until
though.
Elizabeth Lally.
2012.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
from Lori Ward to Lally.
To
who's
Lally.
out.
Gotcha.
So can I ask if transportation, well, Dr. Jones, you and your team could get with the truancy department and just see what happened over those years and what's the trend now with regards to students getting to school late with RTA, to where if you do away with it, what they may have already been experiencing. Because what I don't want is now we're flooding juvenile court with cases around parents and things like that as well.
Yeah, we have a smaller truancy department than we have
Yeah.
as well.
So then we would look to add more staff there if we're going to do something like this for high school.
And let me just ask the timeline of when a decision is needed. This is actually from both of you guys because this is like a joint thing here. When do you need us, when will you present us with a recommendation that you want us to go forward with, and you need us to make that so you can communicate these out to our families?
So I would say after we have a more rigid ruling about House Bill 96, and that will be, I believe, the 1st of July.
Okay.
1st to the middle of July.
You the same with that, Dr. Long?
Yep.
So we are going to be able to communicate to our families in July of what we're doing. Because again, I don't want to get to August and telling people that we made a switch. I think that is far too late. And the sooner we can do this, the better. So, okay.
Yeah, we'll have I have the attendance team reach out to you ASAP.
I sent out a message already. I talked to him earlier.
My man.
This morning.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate Dr. Benson and Taylor. Did you have something?
Just quickly following up, and this is to Board Member Smith and everybody, though. We are thinking outside of the box. We are talking to RTA. found out the same thing about the outside hubs. They don't have a full service going to the outside hubs. Talking to them about other alternatives, talking about other alternatives as far as transportation goes, looking at that. One of our transportation providers that we use for individual transportation service or more individualized transportation services has charged us almost $1 million a year for 81 students. And so we are looking at all of the options and the alternatives and using our imaginations and trying to work as a team to figure out how we look at the services that we provide, looking at the routes that we provide and the tiers. So if there are other suggestions outside of some of the things we've talked about, we certainly want to hear them so that we can investigate those things as we're looking through these things.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. I will say that is not a shared opinion that you guys aren't doing those things, because you guys talk a
Well,
lot.
I didn't say we weren't doing those things.
I'm saying, just let them know, based on what you said, I do believe that you guys are
Let's
going
clear that
hard.
up. I said that that idea would be the end result of not doing that. Yes, that would be. Because I'm sitting here looking at people from our transportation. Am I incorrect that you guys have been talking about how we could do this for at least 3 years? Okay then. Please, I would not let that be a representation of what I am thinking, and I am not thinking that we are not being that. I said this thought that we could not, and that our hands are tied, would be that. Because I have been around, and they have been trying to talk about this for at least 3 to 4 years. At least. And so if we have not gone through and exhausted all of that, then yes, we are not doing everything we can do.
All right, there any other comments? All right, thank you. As before we move on, I would like to do a motion to reconsider from last week's meeting for item A7 and item A13.
There's no.
Is there a second?
No.
From last meeting, last meeting.
Second.
Thank you, not this current one, last meeting. All right, moved and second. Are there any questions on the motion?
1 second. Yes, on A13, according to board policy BDDE, it would have to be that was the prevailing vote.
There was not a prevailing vote.
There
It failed
was.
due to not like a majority.
The prevailing vote was that it failed, so
So
it
we'll
would
move
have to
forward.
be.
Maybe we vote on the motion?
You cannot move forward with voting on A13 because you were not the,
A7 and 14?
you cannot move forward on,
Yeah, 13, it is a person who's reassigned and a person who submitted a resignation.
you cannot move forward again on that item, A13, because you did not have the prevailing vote for that
There
meeting.
was no prevailing vote. It was a 3-2 vote, Mr. Walker.
The prevailing vote was that the noes
No.
won, and therefore,
The noes
according
didn't
to
win. The
board
motion failed because it
policy,
didn't hit 4.
point of information, what does our board policy say on BDDE? The prevailing vote was that it did not pass. So those members who voted in the negative have the prevailing vote. So we are not bringing that back as far as a motion to
Madam
reconsider.
President, Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote?
You cannot vote on A13.
President Goodwin?
Yes.
You cannot call a vote on an item that is not up for a vote.
Dr. Bailey?
If you do, you will be in court.
We're voting on the reconsideration of A7 and A13. It's on last meeting,
Oh, okay, sorry. I wasn't.
but they're on this current meeting for something too.
Okay. Are we voting?
Yeah, Dr. Bailey is looking for it.
A13 is from the last meeting, an individual that resigned, but the vote did not pass there with the members that were present.
She's on your name for,
Oh,
yes or no?
yes.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
I'm trying, well, does this vote, will we exactly speak on what we're trying to change this vote to or what we're doing? Because if not, then I would much rather love to speak about them in executive sessions. For the vote right here, I shall abstain because I am unclear about what we're trying to do.
What is your vote?
He abstained.
Abstain. Ms. Reinhardt?
I'm going to say yes, but I would like to confer with legal before the vote, the reconsideration. I will say yes to this, but I would like to confer with legal before going further, just so there's no misunderstanding among board members.
Mr. Walker?
No.
Ms. Wick?
Yes, and I would like to confirm with legal that, you know, we're in compliance, so yes.
Okay. 5 yeses, 1 abstain, 1 no.
And for you both, legal has given direction on this. but
Legal
you can-
has
you can
not.
step out and call Alex if you like to. So, but we can move forward. And the reconsideration is accepting, 1 was transferred to a department and 1 did not pass or fail due to the majority not voting either way. So they are on the current agenda today. 1 is being reinstated because they have completed what they needed for
Point of
licensures,
information.
and the second one is on there as a resignation, the same.
Point of information. On 8/10, did they sign a contract for the position that they were approved for last week?
I don't believe they did sign the contract.
Was 8/10 a non-renewal initially and then was up for resignation instead?
No, A10 was a licensure issue. So,
And last week, A10 was accepted a position that was not posted before because a person is currently in it. And this board voted to accept that person without posting that position initially.
yes.
Got it. Appreciate it.
And so, the one that's on here, A3. So we had 2 people, 2 licensure issues. One was offered a job, the other one wasn't. That just doesn't sit right with me if we're going, all right, we're picking and choosing who we're gonna try to keep. Because that's what we're saying. And then we're saying, okay, we did not have enough votes to force this last week, so we're gonna redo it this week.
Because one is a friend of a board member, the other one isn't.
But my issue
Can-
is,
I just want to, Board Member Smith, I just want to say Dr. Jones and I both did,
talked to this person just recently. This didn't happen before. So this other person had a position that was offered before, and at the same time, this other person hadn't been talked to in that way. And then also, I would love to go to executive session because I know this person did to speak to someone else about a separate position. And so my concern is that we'd be messing up that process by taking a vote on here. So I would like to vote on that one after speaking in executive session so I can speak with Dr. Jones. Thank you.
All right.
Where we at?
So I'm actually gonna jump to 8 to go to exec so we can answer any questions, so we can just come up and finish this piece up here. Pursuant to section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. The meeting is being held to consider the appointment, employment, or dismissal of a public employee. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin?
Yes.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Wick?
Yes.
7 yeses.
your commitment to learning, and we're here to extend the challenge. That's why we're asking every student, family, and staff member to be present and be engaged.
When we show up, we build a foundation here. And when we show up, we build a future.
I'm here today. I'm here today. I'm here today. I'm here today.
We believe in the power of showing up.
So we're here today. Are you?
Are you?
Side is right next to them. DB's right here next to them. Hey, everybody understand that? Let's go. Get to work. Get to work. Hey, get a break. Hold on, y'all. Go through. Hey, hard work on 3. Hard work on me. Hard work on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hard.
Get out of here. Let's get out of here.
So today we're having an all-city arts festival, and we have lots of music today. We have combined all of our schools together to make music performances all day today. We have choirs, we have bands, we have orchestras, and we're all here to celebrate music in Dayton Public Schools. A lot of these students come from schools where maybe their ensemble, their band, or their choir is really, really small. And so it's scary to come out and perform in front of people anyway. And especially when you're used to just a little small group in your classroom, but they've been doing a great job. I think it's a great experience for them because we all know as adults that we have to go and do some things that maybe aren't in our comfort zones, but with this group of people, their peers, they feel a little bit safer, and hopefully after this experience, it'll kind of feed a fire and they'll want to do it more and more.
Really, music can tap into that creativity that a lot of kids just naturally have, but seems to dissipate often as they get older. So we're tapping into that creativity, giving them that self-expression. So for a lot of our kids, this is their first opportunity to get up in front of people, especially in a venue this big, seeing that big smiles on their faces, especially at the end when they're coming off the stage, excitement. And you know, this is a good opportunity for them to perform and show off for their families, their teachers, their classmates, and greater Dayton community. I think Dayton Public Schools has a huge amount of talent in our district, and we're happy to be here showing that off today.
For Black History Month, we're talking to DPS principals to talk about how their school represents the people they're named after. This episode, we have Charity Adams. Welcome.
Hi, hello.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Carla Goins, and as you know, I'm the principal at Charity Adams Early Academy for Girls. I have been in the district for 30 years and the principal at Charity for 7. This is my 7th year at Charity Adams.
Who was Charity Adams and why was she important?
Charity Adams was the first African-American female to lead her battalion in World War II. That was very rare at that time, so she was a phenomenal leader.
What do students learn about Charity Adams in your building?
So my students learned that Charity One, as I stated, was a leader. She fought for equal rights, and she was just a trailblazer. So students learn how to lead, how to empower themselves, how to speak up for what is wrong, and we are strong believers in sisterhoods at Charity.
As a principal, how do you try to carry on Charity's legacy?
So we try to carry on Charity's legacy, one, by empowering our young ladies, cultivating their unique potential, making sure that they know they have a voice, and to speak up when they see that things are not right, and to be activists.
How do you celebrate Charity Adams during Black History Month after your building?
So this year, with the movie Tyler Perry created coming out, we're celebrating her by doing a special tribute to Charity Adams. So it's going to be really awesome. So the young ladies will do a skit from the movie. So we're really excited. It'll be next Friday, February 28th.
Why should students attend Charity Adams Early Girls Academy?
Students should attend Charity Adams Early Academy for Girls because it's a phenomenal school. It's an all-girls school, and again, as I stated, we're about sisterhood, empowerment, and just creating that environment where our young ladies are thinking about careers that haven't existed yet, so we're pushing them to be leaders. So it's just an exciting and very powerful experience just being at an all-girls school.
What makes your school special?
My school is special, one, because it's a single-gender, all-girls school, and it's the only one in the area, in the state, as a primary middle school, all-girls school. And then also, when you enter our school, it's just a very warm, welcoming environment. It's a community, and it's a great place to be and work.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about bus safety. Every day, thousands of Dayton Public School students ride the bus to and from school, and it's important to know how to stay safe. First things first, make sure to get to your bus stop at least 10 minutes early, and while you're waiting, stand in a safe spot away from the road. Once the bus arrives, go straight to your seat so the bus can start moving again. And remember, while you're on the bus, stay seated and keep the aisles and exits clear. Just like in a classroom, listen to the driver and follow their instructions. This includes no foul language, no sticking your arms or head out the windows, and no eating or drinking on the bus. Lastly, make sure you only get off the bus at your assigned stop, and be sure to walk home safely. Let's all work together to follow these rules and keep our bus rides safe for everyone. Thanks for listening, and stay safe, DPS.
Hi, I'm Katie Philpott, Preschool Intervention Specialist at Rosa Parks Early Learning Center. My position is to educate all preschoolers who come through our doors into our classroom and service students on an IEP, Individualized Education Plan, and it's a way that all students can access the curriculum and education. The kids are vibrant and excited every day to come to school, and they're learning literally how to school, and that's so important. DPS has lots of opportunities for growth. They give you ample professional development hours, which you need for your degree to continue on teaching. It's a great place where you're gonna meet all kinds of people. You're gonna meet every kind of student there is, and there's gonna be challenges for sure, but when you handle those challenges and overcome them, you'll feel so proud of yourself. I enjoy the people I work with. They are some of the best human beings you will find on this planet. I enjoy how there is a preschool program for families who want access to that. That's very important to the K-12 curriculum. It's a great place to be, and if you look around the buildings, you will see active learning, you will see bulletin boards with the learning on it, so you know that there are great things happening in the classrooms. Every child who enters our classroom feels that their learning is important and that they are valued and they are important. So being the one to do that is like a warm, fuzzy hug.
This is our first ever DPS Cares Health and Wellness Fair. We have vendors from a lot of local agencies here. This event offers outreach for our families. We are trying to hook them up with different services in our community. We wanted to make sure parents got messages about wellness, so we were able to bring our guest speakers in. We wanted to make sure that they had access to some of the great things like the yoga and chair massages. And we definitely want to feed everyone when they come out. And we just want to show them how much Dayton Public loves them, loves their children, and cares about them and their health and their welfare. I think they're going to take home that it is okay to take care of yourself, and we have to take care of ourselves before we can take care of others, ways that they can take care of themselves, and ways that they can take care of their families. Everyone's saying how wonderful this has been. The kids are having a ball. Their faces are painted. They have great prizes. They're getting lots of good information. We had massage therapists come in. I've had multiple people say I got a chair massage and I feel so good right now.
First off, Mr. Bornhorst, we appreciate you, all the work that you have done. I had the pleasure of working with you for 5 years. You have been consistent. The small jokes that you make that I gotta listen to and say, well, was that a joke, Mr. Bornhorst? But again, the compliments that was given, you got to see our culture change. You were very uplifting in letting my staff and I know that, Meadowdale's in good hands. So again, we wish you the best of luck in what you're about to do next. Because again, I know you're still young, so you still got a lot of life to live. So we are looking forward to, hearing great things with your traveling. So thank you again. And the Lions, you will always have a place here at the Lions Den.
A special thank you to Tim Dunaway for the fabulous job he did here at International School. You're one of a kind, and it's been amazing to have you here working with us.
I wanted to say a special congratulations to our 3 retiring custodians, Pat Eichenlaub from Valerie, Miss E. Elvina McNair from Westwood, and Joyce Parks from Fairview. We are so going to miss you, but are so excited you get to have another opportunity to do whatever you want to do. We're going to miss you. We're proud of you, and thanks for all you've done for us.
Miss Love, your impact on Ruskin School was absolutely profound. The joy you brought into this building was infectious and noticed by everybody every day that you were here. The legacy of love that you have left here at Ruskin will be remembered by students and teachers, anybody who ever came to Ruskin for years and years to come. Thank you. Happy retirement.
Monica Nas, AKA Catwoman, AKA Snoop, AKA Gigi Tutu. It's a bunch of just names that we give Mrs. Nas. Tinkerbell, you know, I'm gonna miss Tinkerbell walking around the classroom, you know, walking around the hallway, doing her little pitsy Dutch, and then she'll start dancing when you know she's tired and she's ready to go, okay? But this has been my partner. Ms. Nas and I have been working with each other for 4 years closely, you know, day in, day out sometimes. We got so many good stories. We got laughs, we've cried. It has been a journey. I can't say enough about Mrs. Nas. I'll be taking up so much time to talk about in the depth of who Mrs. Nas is. You know, we've been in the trenches fighting in wars, you know, here, not with each other. And that's been the biggest blessing. We didn't fight against each other, but we grew together, been through things, and we have been able to see the transformation of Meadowdale in the manner that we want it. And we're gonna continue to keep pushing, because I know you're retiring, but I gotta keep you around somehow. So we just gonna say bye for now, but not for long. So congratulations to all of the mighty Lions that will always be accepted here, will always be a part of the Lion family here at the Lions Den. Can't do it without you, and I'm not supposed to, so thank you all. I love you. Karen Schuller, who I was first introduced to her as my own personal French teacher when I was in high school here at Meadowdale, and it was Miss Shahada. So it also was a pleasure not only to just be in your classroom, you know, many years ago, we're not gonna say how many years ago, but many years ago, but now to come back to the Lions Den as your administrator, and to also, you know, work with you and offer my expertise and tips, and also continue to listen to the stories that you bring, and kind of took me back to when I was, you know, in high school, and I would hear your stories and hear you, you know, speak in French, and I think it's bon voyage. I don't know what that bon voyage. Anybody know French in here? So I wish you the best of luck as well, Mr. Schuller. It has been a pleasure. And I hope that you and your daughter continue to keep traveling and enjoying life. You have been awesome, you know, over your long tenure in the classroom. Can't thank you enough. All your artwork, I'm gonna remember, you know, walking into the classroom, the drawings that you inspire kids to do. So again, thank you and bon voyage.
To Eric Von Berg, thank you. Congratulations. I know you've had so many students that you've made a difference in their lives. Have a wonderful retirement. Congratulations and thank you, Dana Darling. You've had an amazing teaching career. Additionally, you have hired hundreds of teachers for the district. It doesn't stop with hiring. You have supported teachers and administrators in renewing their license and solving other issues. Your hard work for the HR department will continue to influence the district for decades to come. Congratulations and enjoy your retirement.
Mrs. Hickey, I don't even know where to begin thanking you for your professionalism, dedication, and commitment to our students. Your impact on the students at Ruskin has been profound. Your leadership has been a model of what we do here at Ruskin. You know you are always a lifetime Ram. Please don't be a stranger. Come back and visit. Good evening, retirees and guests. What a wonderful evening. We're glad you guys could all gather here together. We are happy to celebrate this milestone in your lives. The impact you've had on all the students that you've interacted with in Dayton Public Schools has been profound, and your names will be remembered forever by the students that you worked with. We are proud to have served with you and worked with you, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Wanted to say congratulations to all of the retirees, especially those in operations this year. Thank you for all of your hard work, dedication to Dayton Public Schools. Wishing you nothing but success in whatever you decide to do after that.
Congratulations to all the retirees. Thank you so much for all you've done to help the students of Dayton Public Schools. It really makes a difference.
Congratulations to all the Dayton Public Schools retirees for all the hard work that you have done over the years. We appreciate you. We know it's been challenging. What we do is ever changing, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. So congratulations to you. We wish you the best of luck as you continue on with your life, and we hope that you do a lot of traveling and enjoying it. Thank you.
The message I have for them is, I'm going to miss you. This has been a journey for you. I don't know exactly how many years it's been, but if you've been with Dayton Public Schools and you're retiring, I am wishing you well. And I want you to come back and volunteer. I want you to wish us well on social media. And I want you to stay connected to the district, because you're always going to be part of the family. I hope that you took away that you were so valuable in the lives of children. Whatever your job was, you were valuable to children and to this operation that we know as Dayton Public Schools and to the community. Children are our most prized assets. So you were part of building those children who would then become productive adults. I want you to know your work mattered. So your impact as an employee, if you were a teacher, of course, people always think teachers, and teachers, you are important. But if you were a custodian, you were amazing at making sure kids had the environment that was clean. If you were a transportation specialist or bus driver, you were amazing at making sure they got the extracurricular activities and got to school and got home. If you were the secretary, you were so important to our 5 C's, customer service. You were the first voice, first face they saw when they walked in. Whatever your role was, from custodian to secretary to transportation to paraprofessional to operations, who make sure that things are working inside the building, all of those roles are super important. And of course, being a former principal, if you're an administrator or a principal, your role is important as well. Listen, this is a really important date. I want you to know that I'm close to this too. This is year 30. So sure enough, at some point, I'll be on the other side and saying my goodbyes to Dayton Public Schools.
I'm here today.
I'm here today.
I'm here today. I'm here today.
I'm here today. Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
At DPS, attendance is important. That's why we're challenging all
across schools to increase and improve their daily attendance. So I ask again, we're here today. Are you?
Are you? Hello, my name is Marley, and this school is called Rufus H. Montessori School, and the show that you are watching is called Ask the Kindergarten. Ask the Kindergartner. Okay, so what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Miriam. What's your name? Dalton. Dalton? Yes. So, what's your favorite animal, Ashad? Lion. What's your favorite animal, Miriam? I like elephants. What's your favorite animal? A lion. What's your favorite cartoon, Ashad? Cartoon? Yes. All right, let's move on. What's your favorite cartoon? Super Kitties. Hey, why Super Kitties. Super Kitties. Why you? Ooh, I like that's that. Rude. What's your favorite? Spider-Man. Oh, wait. What's your favorite comic book, boy? What's your favorite comic book? Spider-Man. What's your favorite comic book? Not a show. Okay. Comic book? Yes, I do that one. All right, what's your favorite comic book? I don't have one. What's your favorite comic book? I have. And that's perfectly fine, Miriam. I have. That's perfectly fine. I have a dinosaur one. Dinosaur? That's not a comic book. I don't like dinosaurs. Raise your hand. I don't have one. What's your favorite book if you don't have a comic book? A comic book? No, it's a book like those, not a comic book. No book. Okay. A Spider-Man one. What's your favorite book? Are you scared? No, you're scared. Is that the one that's right there? No, that's that one right there with the bunny and the bear. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Okay, let's go outside, everybody. So let's move on. What's your favorite book? Dinosaur. Why does it always have to be dinosaurs? Because I like dinosaurs. What's your favorite food? No, no, I'm first. No, you're not. I get to choose first. I know you ain't must to talk back to me, lady. Oh. I will call you old man if you don't stop calling me old man. Did you just call me old man? Yeah. So, okay, let's move on. What's your favorite movie? Spider-Man. What's your favorite movie? Dinosaurs. Why do I always got the dinosaurs? Movie. Wait, there's nothing because I like dinosaurs. That's a cartoon. Because I like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are not a movie. Yes, they is. No, it isn't. Let's move on. Okay, I'm going downstairs. Thanks for watching As a Kindergartner. Make sure you subscribe.
We hear your commitment to learning, and we're here to extend the challenge. That's why we're asking every student, family, and staff member to be present and be engaged.
When we show up, we build a foundation here. And when we show up, we build a future.
I'm here today. I'm here today. I'm here today. I'm here today.
We believe in the power of showing up,
So we're here today. Are you?
Are you?
Side is right next to them. DB's right here next to them. Hey, everybody understand that? Let's go. Get to work. Get to work. Hey, get a break. Hold on, y'all. Go through. Hey, hard work on three. Hard work on me. Hard work on three. 1, 2, 3. Hard. Out of here. Let's get out of here.
So today we're having an all-city arts festival, and we have lots of music today. We have combined all of our schools together to make music performances all day today. We have choirs, we have bands, we have orchestras, and we're all here to celebrate music in Dayton Public Schools. A lot of these students come from schools where maybe their ensemble, their band, or their choir is really, really small. And so it's scary to come out and perform in front of people anyway. And especially when you're used to just a little small group in your classroom, but they've been doing a great job. I think it's a great experience for them because we all know as adults that we have to go and do some things that maybe aren't in our comfort zones, but with this group of people, their peers, they feel a little bit safer, and hopefully after this experience, it'll kind of feed a fire and they'll want to do it more and more.
Really, music can tap into that creativity that a lot of kids just naturally have, but seems to dissipate often as they get older. So we're tapping into that creativity, giving them that self-expression. So for a lot of our kids, this is their first opportunity to get up in front of people, especially in a venue this big, seeing that big smiles on their faces, especially at the end when they're coming off the stage, the excitement. And you know, this is a good opportunity for them to perform and show off for their families, their teachers, their classmates, and greater Dayton community. I think Dayton Public Schools has a huge amount of talent in our district, and we're happy to be here showing that off today.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about bus safety. Every day, thousands of Dayton Public School students ride the bus to and from school, and it's important to know how to stay safe. First things first, make sure to get to your bus stop at least 10 minutes early, and while you're waiting, stand in a safe spot away from the road. Once the bus arrives, go straight to your seat so the bus can start moving again. And remember, while you're on the bus, stay seated and keep the aisles and exits clear. Just like in a classroom, listen to the driver and follow their instructions. This includes no foul language, no sticking your arms or head out the windows, and no eating or drinking on the bus. Lastly, make sure you only get off the bus at your assigned stop, and be sure to walk home safely. Let's all work together to follow these rules and keep our bus ride safe for everyone. Thanks for listening, and stay safe, DPS.
Hi, I'm Katie Philpott, Preschool Intervention Specialist at Rosa Parks Early Learning Center. My position is to educate all preschoolers who come through our doors into our classroom and service students on an IEP, Individualized Education Plan, and it's a way that all students can access the curriculum and education. The kids are vibrant and excited every day to come to school, and they're learning literally how to school, and that's so important. DPS has lots of opportunities for growth. They give you ample professional development hours, which you need for your degree to continue on teaching. It's a great place where you're gonna meet all kinds of people. You're gonna meet every kind of student there is, and there's gonna be challenges for sure, but when you handle those challenges and overcome them, you'll feel so proud of yourself. I enjoy the people I work with. They are some of the best human beings you will find on this planet. I enjoy how there is a preschool program for families who want access to that. That's very important to the K-12 curriculum. It's a great place to be, and if you look around the buildings, you will see active learning, you will see bulletin boards with the learning on it, so you know that there are great things happening in the classrooms. Every child who enters our classroom feels that their learning is important and that they are valued and they are important. So being the one to do that is like a warm, fuzzy hug.
Oh, let's see. No, she couldn't have because we talked about it in there. Can they make an amendment? Sean, Jamel. Sean, Jamel. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Who's that?
He went to school with you, Sean Jamel.
What about Sean?
That's me last night. That's crazy.
Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from?
He and Kim are brother and sister. My
Let the record show that the Board of Education of Dayton City School has just completed an executive session during which is considered the appointment, employment, or dismissal of a public employee. I move that we exit executive session. Second. Move is second. Any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin.
Yes.
Brother and sister.
Dr. Bailey. Dr. Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
All right, we're moving forward with the motion to reconsider. And these are on the items of last week, even though we'll have to make a change on the actual motion to one of the individuals. And this is reconsidering the actions taken or not taken on, what did I say, A7, A13 from last week?
That's correct.
All right,
This is the approval.
to reconsider them, yes.
Okay.
We've already voted.
We've already voted to
We
reconsider.
voted for that.
So this is redoing the vote.
Yeah, redoing the vote,
Redoing the vote, okay.
I think.
Yes.
Okay.
It says right
Yes,
here.
I got it, yes.
Okay. President Goodwin.
Yes.
Dr. Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Which one are we voting on, both of them?
Can I make?
Yeah, we're voting on both of them, knowing that the other one has to be changed in the new motion.
Okay.
It's just to reconsider from different positions, like undoing the vote.
So we already did that.
Point, yeah, we've already did that.
We already did that.
No, we did a motion to reconsider, now we're redoing the vote.
But so to be redoing the vote,
Hold on, are we doing this wrong?
Yeah, we've already.
passed the motion to
reconsider.
So last week's action is
so now we'll
done.
be voting
Oh.
on what was there
Yeah.
before.
So now we're just,
Oh, I need to change that.
now we're doing superintendent items right
I can
now.
change my, vote.
So, point of information. Point of
Yeah, I'm a
information.
little confused now.
I believe what we have to do is,
So we did that, and then now we're re-voting on them.
no, so I think what we have to do, you have to pull back your current motion because we've already done the motion to reconsider. So the action last week is
It's gone now.
is gone. So now they're on this agenda today, and we can pull that item individually that needs to be changed to reflect, and then just move forward with everything
That's
else.
not how we, like, when we've done motion to reconsider, we voted to do the reconsideration, and then we do the actual vote over.
Correct, but these ones are already on here for a vote tonight for something
For something
different.
else, that was
I
not
know,
what we
I understand
had
what you
before.
guys are saying. I'm saying, when you do the motion to reconsider, the first thing is, can we do a motion to reconsider? That's the yes. The second part is to actually redo the vote on them.
But we're not redoing a vote.
We
We're
are, because we
changing and
did
having a
vote,
new
we did
vote.
vote on them. So I have to do that, redo the vote for them to be able to come over here. Or amend, or do another motion to reconsider to say something different than what we usually do.
That is what we would need to do, because we're changing this into a different vote, like the vote is
So-
Okay,
different
but we're
from
in the
Now-
middle of a
what it
vote right now, so we have to finish this vote now.
Well, no, you can,
So this one is redoing the reconsider.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, we're doing an actual vote that we're
This is the
reconsidering.
vote that we're redoing. We've already decided that we were going to reconsider the vote.
So
That is
now
passed.
we're voting.
Now we're voting on A7 and A13 from last
Okay.
week.
Okay, and can we start the vote over, please? But can
Okay.
I vote on them separate, can we vote on them separately, please? Can we vote on A7 first and then A13 second?
Would you like to make that motion?
you cannot make a motion that's
I can
currently inside of
amend-
a
It's
current
my
motion.
So I can amend my motion to vote on
Okay.
them separately. Yes.
Okay, so now it's
Okay, what are we doing?
A7?
So we're voting on
A7?
A7 first,
From last week,
correct.
okay.
And then we're gonna vote on A13.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with you now.
All right, let me just make sure I got the right person.
Dr. Goodwin?
Give me 1 second. No.
No? Okay. On the A7, okay.
A7.
Dr. Bailey?
No.
Mr. Lacy?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Ms. Reinhardt?
No.
Mr. Walker?
No.
Ms. Wick?
No.
Okay. 7 no on A7.
Okay, now A13, and before we do that, let me just ask a question, Dr. Lawrence. You do have something in writing on this individual, correct?
I have something, the answer was yes.
Okay,
and
that's what I needed.
Yes to transportation journalists is what it
Okay,
says.
that's all I need to know. Okay, go ahead.
So this position, so
Now we're going on A13, to accept the resignation, or not. I just needed to get clear, which is why I broke them up.
President Goodwin?
No.
Dr. Bailey?
No.
Mr. Lacy?
no.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Ms. Reinhardt?
No.
Mr. Walker?
No.
Ms. Wick?
No.
Got it.
7 no.
Okay, on to your first recommendation, Dr. Lawrence.
I'd like to recommend the approval of the following administrative appointments, and I'd like to change A3 to location transportation, position transportation journalist.
But this is not a resignation.
No.
So you also want to say that you want to take off resignation too?
Yes. So we're taking off resignation, going from resignation to reassignment.
All right, so say that again.
So moved.
Yeah, so let's
Oh,
go.
go
So,
ahead.
yeah, approval of the following administrative appointments. A3 that you see in executive content, that is not a resignation. We're going from reassignment. So location is reassignment from Wagaman to the Transportation Center, and the position is from Dean to Transportation Generalist.
So moved.
Who moved it?
I'm gonna give it to Dr. Bailey. Do you want to be the second?
Yeah.
And Mr. Walker the second. Any questions on the motion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can we move for a separate vote for the placements?
That's fine. Anything else? All right, Madam Treasurer, maybe have a vote?
Okay. President Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
All right, this vote is on the placements. Have a vote?
Is this the one where Dr. Lawrence is making his?
You want to say a piece on it?
I already said it.
No, on the contractional piece, on part of the recommendation that you had for us. The contract piece of accepting the 9%ers.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'd just like to say that this was, I think, when we passed the first schedule in November, it was voted on then, and I think it's voted on a second time as well, in terms of the 9%. So we want to come to a compromise. We heard board members, we heard staff members, and we come to a compromise, and this kind of, for us, splits the difference and gives staff members a chance to continue their education and also not lose the entire 9%, but also put us in a position where we move toward an organization where in all the leadership roles you have a degree.
Dr. Bailey, will you accept the friendly amendment to the motion? Amendment that these contracts have for the individuals who do not have degrees, the conditions of them, either that's listed in the contract of them enrolling in school by the August date, maintaining that piece, and if they don't do that, they could possibly be moved to DSSs.
Yes, I accept.
All right.
So point of information on that. Individuals whose salaries are there, and if we're saying that come August, they have to be enrolled into a program, their salary would not decrease for this upcoming contract year, but for the following, they could be moved to the other position.
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clear. Thank you.
So, do we move them to the degree salary, or how is that?
According to this one, the one on here, the offer that is out, I believe, is at the 9%. Once they show they're in there, and then they go up. Is that the language that's in there?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, the way they are, we roll them.
Yep, the way it is on here. All right.
Thank you.
Maybe have a vote?
But before we call the vote, I just want to be clear that if individuals on the admin placement feel that they are not placed in the right column, they can appeal that to,
The superintendent.
okay.
Question
Go ahead.
for Dr. Lawrence. How can we make this clear for folk who would like to appeal? What is the deadline? What is the time frame? Because then also I know these changes then create more work for our treasurer. So while I feel I would much rather have this done when the mistakes or people's perceived mistakes are corrected, what does that timeline for folk look like that works best with the treasurer? And then maybe, Madam Treasurer, what would work for you if there are changes? When would you need to have them by to be able to fully go through with them with fewer mistakes?
I would just say that they're
That's-
really, no, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
That should be in June, because we have to roll them July 1st, for July 1st.
So we need all mistakes corrected by June.
June 30th?
Yeah, by
June
June
business
15.
meeting. Yeah, June business meeting.
June 15.
Does that work for you?
June business meeting works, and Board Member Smith, yes, June business meeting works.
Will something be sent out to staff letting them know the time frame that they have to appeal this placement.
Absolutely.
Anything else? May we have a vote?
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes, please reach out to the staff so they can fix these mistakes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Your next recommendation?
My next recommendation, I recommend the approval of the following certified appointments.
Can I make a motion to take C through E together?
Is there a second?
Second.
C through E together. All right, Madam Treasurer, any questions?
Yes. For the DSS placement, will that staff have the same opportunity if they want to appeal the placement?
Yeah, the letter that we send out for notification, they're all in the same email thread.
All right, appreciate you.
Another question, please, Madam President.
Go ahead.
B25, if we have B25 on here, is there a reason for
F?
letter F?
I was actually gonna ask for a friendly amendment to accept F with it. They all typically accompany with a resolution via our legal team. Actually, let me make sure I'm looking at the same one as you. My bad.
No, because those two things go against each other directly.
Yeah, because one is
One is saying that
in lieu of.
it's a resignation, and the other one is a resolution for termination.
Dr.
I'd like to,
And it's
the
on
resolution, yeah, the resolution, the resolution is what should forward. The B25 should be taken off, should be removed.
Friendly amendment.
So
to remove-
accepted.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, no, it wasn't your motion.
But he accepted it, so I moved on.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I guess I'm just curious, so on one part, it's saying in lieu of,
Right.
and then the other one is a full thing.
Yeah, what I think happened was, in that conversation, what you see in executive content, the in lieu of, that was a process of negotiations, and we didn't get to where we should be, so then you see what happened underneath that.
Yeah, my issue is, okay.
All right, Madam Treasurer? Any other questions?
We're not putting the, what's that? Is that F on there? We're not having F in this vote, correct?
No, it was an amendment to add F.
There's an amendment to add F and to take out the.
I'd like to vote separately on F.
That's fine.
So we voting C to E
Without.
without B25.
I don't even have a B25.
It's way at the bottom.
Okay, I see it.
Way
All
up,
right, go ahead.
Yeah, it goes B1 through 4. then
All right, so yeah, everything C through E without B25.
Yes.
All right.
President Goodwin,
Abstain.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
One moment, still looking through. Let me see if I need to abstain. I'll say yes for now.
okay. Ms. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
6 yeses, 1 abstain.
Now we're voting on F.
All right, I have a question, ma'am.
Go ahead.
All right, so Dr. Lawrence. In lieu of the fact that we have no one here from HR to tell us about this, or to give us any information on what happened, what went on, like even the resolution, it is very, to me, it is very sketchy and not full of anything or any information that actually leads me to be able to vote in a way without me just blindly accepting what is put forth in front of me. That is troubling, especially with the fact that we had two different motions or two different avenues on the same agenda, and we're just removing one. Like, that is just concerning and troubling for me as a board member to just walk into it and then not have anyone here that could go in and answer those questions.
Well, publicly, what questions would you like to ask?
I ain't nothing I want to ask publicly, and not trying to mean no one's here if we even went to an executive, so I can't do nothing.
I was involved in the situation intimately. Would you?
There's nothing in there that talks about, like, so there's a date that's in here of when these things start. The date around training and being told how to do these things is months later. So we're talking about something that was the beginning of the school year, and then we're talking about a training on these things about a month ago.
I would call the board's attention to how the money was returned, how the assets were returned, and also to the board's attention to previous incidents. So for us, it's a pattern.
But that's what I'm saying, there's nothing in here of that. So I'm saying we're being told to accept a pattern without being shown a pattern. That is troubling. You're telling me to accept what you're saying without being able to show that what you are saying is actually true.
I think the contents of the resolution are pretty clear.
Can I add that I don't want us to say previous patterns of this individual because this body voted differently on what was recommended for this individual in the past.
And that's what it looks like. Looks like this individual had something, came up, and now we're trying to get another reason to do this to an individual because we're talking patterns and all these things that are not laid out in the resolution.
All right. Are other members ready to vote on this one?
We have, before it was C to E, and now that it's refreshed.
Yeah, it should only be A through E, there's no F.
Ooh.
Okay, so what was taken out of A of?
All right. Yeah, we voted for C to E already. Now when we refresh, it's
something.
The executive session was put on there and now it's gone.
I see. Okay, I don't.
So it should be B, voting on B, C, D, and then voting on E.
So can I do a motion to reconsider for item E?
Can we just correct the record? Because it's a clerical mistake. Because it was F on there.
So, yeah, B.
Yeah, it's just a clerical correction. E is the one we're voting on now because there shouldn't have been.
So B through D was together.
Yes.
E is separate.
That's what the motion is out right now for. All right. All right, are we ready to vote? Mr. Smith has brought up his thing. Everyone else ready to vote?
Yes.
All right, Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote?
Okay. President Goodwin?
Yes.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Abstain.
Ms. Wick?
Yes.
5 yeses, 2 abstain.
Can I?
Thank you. Does
That concludes my recommendations.
Dr. Lawrence, before looking at this list, Kaiser will have 2 assistant principals?
That's the second one's a traveling one. So we have 2 traveling principals. When Ms. Spurlock gave her presentation, you asked about what the +2 was.
That wasn't what she said, though. That was something different.
What did she say? I thought for sure that's what she said.
No, because I think our question was, why would we pay individuals to travel around the buildings the same salary instead of being placed in one specific building? And the reason I say that now is because you have at least 7 or 8 open assistant principal positions. but it's already passed. I just saw that one because I was curious about that specific person.
Yeah, they're at this moment they're traveling, but we still have movement among the system principals right now.
All right, Madam Treasurer, 5-year forecast.
Okay, I have a presentation first. We need to go through. Okay. This presentation is a 5-year forecast for May, and it's an update from November forecast. So the purpose and objectives of this forecast is to engage the Board of Education and the community in a long-range planning and discussions of financial issues facing the school district, to serve as a basis for determining the school district's ability to sign the certificate required by ORC 5705.412 certificates, to provide methods for the Ohio Department of Education and Auditor of State to identify school districts with potential financial problems. Oh, are you projecting, Leslie?
Leslie, are you?
Sugar?
Are you projecting it, showing it on the screen for the audience?
The 5-year forecast?
Yeah, all the board members have it up, so we're following you.
Okay. Did you get it? Okay. Okay. Before we get into the numbers, a financial forecast is somewhat like painting the future based upon a snapshot of today. The 5-year forecast is viewed as a key management tool and should be updated periodically. In a financial forecast, the numbers only tell a small part of the story. For the numbers to be meaningful, one must review and consider the notes and assumptions before drawing a conclusion or using the data as a basis for calculations. A 5-year forecast encourages the management teams to examine future years' projections and identify when challenges arise. This helps district management to proactive in meeting the challenges. Can you go to the fourth? Okay. Key line items. The 5-year forecast is divided in 2 sections, revenue and expenditures. A district's revenue is made up of 2 main sources, which is local and state funding. The expenditures are mainly salary and benefits, purchased services, and supplies and materials. Okay. On this forecast, we have concerns. Fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27 state budget legislative concerns. The governor's budget called for $103 million less for public schools and $448 million more for vouchers and private schools. There are 14 proposed laws to impact local property taxes and vouchers that could reduce local funding for all public schools in Ohio. HB 96 is among the most egregious and the most serious concern to all public schools districts. It would eliminate the Fair School Funding Plan, calling a temporary foundation funding, suspending fees and 6th year of the phase-in, limit school district carryover cash balance to 30% of the prior year expenditures, empower county budget commissioners to suspend voter approved levies and disregard the 20 mil floor. So, as you can see on this one, fiscal year 26-27 state budget timeline. The timeline is February 4, 2025, governor submits. And the next one is House passes HB 96. We are here now, the yellow. Senate passes, should pass late May. Our forecast is due this month, by the end of this month. Conference committee late June. So July, our fiscal year, July 1st fiscal year starts. So we are in a limbo. So this is the timeline. The Senate is now deliberating state foundation funding and property tax for schools. House Bill 96 provisions will be taken up by the Senate and the outcome unknown at this time. The Senate has 5 pending pieces of the legislation concerning property taxation. The state budget process will not be finalized until the end of June. Our 5-year forecast has to be filed by the end of May, which is tomorrow. We will file the forecast with our current state funding level and property tax laws at this time. So, our district financial story overview. House Bill 33 continued to phase in of the Fair Fund School Funding Plan 24, fiscal year 24 and 25. Current funding has us as a guaranteed through fiscal year 25. ESSER funds that helped us as increased general fund for fiscal fund balances, fiscal year 21 to 24, ended in September 2024. Fiscal year future funding is uncertain still for 26 to 29, since in this forecast we have 2 bienniums. We receive 62%, since we receive 62% of our revenue from the state funding of Ohio, and 38% is from our local. So still we are waiting on those. We are on the guarantee, and HB 96, the governor's proposed budget will reduce funding, might reduce funding by 5% for the budget years. Our district financial story continued. There are several property tax reforms being proposed by the legislators that could impact our local revenues in the future. We will not know what these are until later this year. If the state of Ohio cuts and reduces our state funding and severely impacts our ability to raise local funding, our district will need to make cuts or to go to our community for more levies. Under current laws and state funding, we are projecting a negative fund balance in 2028. So, since this is a repeat of the November our November, we compared our November forecast to this forecast. We are really, our forecast is very good. We are 95.9% accurate compared to November in our revenue. The same thing, 95.4% accurate compared to November. So only 1 month left, and really we are within our forecast. So now, when we go to the next one, you see the blue is our revenue. So our revenue is, when you see on the forecast, it's flat, but our expenditures are rising up. Due to the expenditure rising up and our revenue is flat, our fund balance goes down. So we see we will have a negative fund balance in 2028.
If I may really quickly, Treasurer, interrupt you and let the audience and the people here know, there's consistently this disconnect between what's projected and what's under board docs. There is more detail. If you go under board docs and look at the 5-year forecast under board docs, there's numbers attached to this graph, just so you know. I just need to point that out. It's okay, go on.
Yeah, Leslie, did you download it? Always I do.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The next slide is local revenues versus state revenues, just to show you how our revenues are trending. It's flat, and how our revenue in local too, our taxes, that's a trend. As you can see, HB, House Bill 110, restores funding to fiscal year 21 levels when considering district payment. So that's the reason why it's flat. House Bill 33 reflected in 22-29 shows no significant change in revenue or state support. So we need to consider or pay attention to our expenditures on this. The next slide shows our revenues. Our revenue so far is 238.9 million. So from where do they come? State foundation, from the state, we have 62%, and from local is 38%. So we have to really, we are heavily dependent on our state revenues. We are showing here is estimated general fund expenditures for fiscal year 2025. We only have 1 month left, and this is where we are. What we spend is, our spending is in our salaries. Salaries are 54%, and our benefits are 18%. So really, it's not that impactful. This one is the next. Still, it's not showing.
We're on page 15.
Yeah. Okay, estimated general fund expenditures by object for the forecast year. So this is the expenditures. As in the prior slide, we showed you the revenues. This one is, we are showing you the expenditures. Our expenditures are rising, but our revenue stayed flat. That's the reason why we put this one for the forecast years. The next slide is fund ending cash balance as a 2 cash days. This, what it's showing us is if we don't receive any money receipts, how long can we go? So it shows the prior years, the actual years high, because we had the ESSER funding, so we were protecting our general fund, and we have fund balances. So in 2022, we could have gone 249 days without getting any other revenues. In 2023, 227 days. In 2024, 212. In 2025, 145. 2026, 101. And 2027, 65. After that, we don't have a fund balance to go without. So it's showing us dipping into our fund balance. General revenue concerns, what we have, HB 33, the biennium budget, the fair school funding plan made many changes to the state funding payments and the expenditures, but left us as guaranteed. 2 state biennium budget, 26-27 and 28-29. So those are unknown. Student wellness success funds. Now it is in general fund. So we have to take care on that one. ESSER 3 expenditures moved to the general fund in 2025. So our general fund is carrying all those expenditures. Must continue to review the student wellness success, general fund costs, and adjust budget because of since we are still projecting negative. Watch the recommendation of the Joint Committee on Property Tax Reforms.
Mhm.
That's it on this one. Do you have any question?
I'm gonna say thank you for the presentation. I think there's a lot of key things to hone in on here too, but something I've been asking our board leadership team to continuously look at is our reality is that we cannot maintain without and seeing some increase somewhere on the things that we brought in when we got that surplus of funds from ESSER. And now we're out of ESSER, and at a certain point, we do have to make those cuts and start scaling, even though we are actively trying to bring more students in to help the revenue. As you guys saw on the beginning of the slide, the amount that goes out to vouchers is still a large amount, 448 million on the second slide there. So the realities of some decisions that this board will face we are getting closer to them, not farther away. So I do thank you for the presentation. Are there any other comments from the board? Go ahead.
Thank you, Treasurer. I want to point out on slide 16, we've been talking a little bit about the cash carryover cap that is part of House Bill 96 that would be particularly devastating for almost every single district in this state. And I want to point out what you put on the slide, GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, recommends 60 days or 2 months of unencumbered reserves. It is best practices. It is wise financial fiscal responsibility on our part to have cash reserves. You never know what will happen. Our bond rating will go down. It will affect the types of loans that we can take out. So I thank you for putting these numbers out there for the district treasurer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? All right, Madam Treasurer, your first recommendation.
Okay. I recommend the approval of the 5-year forecast for May.
So moved.
Second, moved by Mr. Lacy, second by Dr. Goodwine. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwine,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Let the record show that he left the meeting at 7 p.m.
okay. Ms. Wick,
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you. Does that conclude your recommendations?
Yes.
Dr. Jones, your first recommendation?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'd like to recommend ratification of the lease agreement at 1516 Stanley Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there, I second it. Quick question for you, because it's not open up on
It
here.
needs to be for vote. Yeah.
Is this the same lease that was on the review session in May? Because that's the one I can see. I can't see the one on here.
May 13th, yes.
Yes,
Four-
with the 4-year term?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? And if anyone needs to see it, it's on the review session meeting. All right, may we have a vote?
President Goodwine,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker, sorry, Ms. Wick,
Yes.
6 yeses.
Okay, I believe next you have a presentation prior to your recommendation, or would you like to just jump into your recommendation?
Actually, I'd like to just jump into the
Go
recommendation.
ahead,
Let's see.
just say the magic words.
Get to the right page here. Okay, so for the sake of brevity, what you are looking at here is a breakdown of the work that needs to be completed in each one of our buildings, okay? And so the costs, don't be alarmed by it because those are, the going rates. We took the best estimates of what HVAC would cost or a roof would cost at Thurgood, for instance. And so nothing is etched in stone in terms of when the work will occur. And so what I am seeking is ratification of the capital plan based on the estimations of the costs.
Quick question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a continuance of the Fund 007 that was created
Yes,
last
ma'am.
week, and that is the way that we can utilize the fund, is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. Yes.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Reiner, second by Mr. Lacy. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwine,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. All right, next we have our policies. Can you guys open the?
Nope. But it's below.
Oh, okay, I see, it's below, okay. All right. Insomuch that the Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulations manual, the committee, which was appointed, has been working towards that goal. The following are brought at this time for second reading in compliance with Board File. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies which have been codified for inclusion in the handbook, policies, rules, and regulations. I move that we adopt the policies below. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Yes, we move GBCC for a separate vote.
Yes. All right, you have that, Madam Treasurer?
Yes.
All right, may we have a vote?
Okay. President Goodwine,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, GBCC. Do we have a vote? Go ahead, you have comments?
Yes, I would want to stress once again the importance of our leadership of creating, if this will go through, to create their own dress codes, as I believe, as is stated right now, creates an overreach of extraneous nature for our staff, which doesn't align in my mind with better academic outcomes, seeing as I look across our area and none of our high-performing schools have similar things placed on their staff. So if this does go through, I would express my desire for all of our staff to work to create their own dress codes that better reflect the needs of their individual buildings and individual spaces. Because as I look at this now, I see no need for a staff member in an elementary school to be dressed business professional day to day. Doesn't work for them what they do. So as I said before, hope that they get there and do their own, because as it stands now, we're putting things on people that better performing districts don't even have on their staff. So for me, if it doesn't produce better outcomes and it only creates another reason for a staff member to want to pick another place to work, can't go for it.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin?
Yes.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Ms. Wick?
Yes.
5 yeses, 1 no.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Reiner, second by Mr. Lacy. May we have a vote?
President Goodwin?
Yes.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yep.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Ms. Wick?
Yes.
6 yeses.
All right, see you guys again on the 28th. No, we have a meeting. No, yeah, the 28th. We have a board retreat at some point. No, we have a meeting. Never mind. Bye.